Right, so I think it was last year that I did a video where I talked about my top kit selection, and basically, obviously I use Daiwa poles, and there's quite a few different types of top kits, what they sell with Daiwa poles. So I run through, why I choose to use the top kits I choose to use, and, how I set them up and stuff like that. But one thing I sort of missed and I had a few questions about is what elastics that I use in each top kit, and exactly what I use them for and stuff like that. So I decided to answer them questions in a video and basically do a complete sort of selection of my elastics that I use during the summer months. So starting with the lighter elastics, all my lighter grades, so my first three grades what I've got here today are all going to be run through short top kits. Now these are basically my short kits that I showed in the last video, which is basically a short number 3 section and a match number 2. Now, the reason I run all my soft elastics through a shorter style top kit like this is it means you get all the benefits of a nice soft elastic when you hook the fish for not bumping the fish, but then when you go to play the fish, your elastic tightens up a lot faster, the fish pop up a lot shorter, just allows you to get control of the fish better. Generally when I'm fishing with my lighter elastics, I'm fishing for smaller fish, sort of F1s, eyed, maybe smaller carp, so there's no problem with worrying about using a shorter style top kit. So starting with the lighter grade, all my elastics are hydro elastics. I've used hybrids in the past and other types of hollows, but I always tend to go back to the hydro elastic. I just think it's the best elastic on the market and the one I have a lot of confidence in. So start with the lightest one that I use during the summer months. It's orange hydro. Now this is a brilliant elastic when you're fishing shallow and you're fishing for mixed fish. So if you're catching sort of eyed, stockies, up to bigger F1s and an odd carp mixed in, orange hydro is perfect. Now, line wise, when I'm fishing with this, it allows you to scale down a little bit lighter. So often I'll still use this with my standard 013. But if you go into venues that are a little bit trickier, maybe a bit clear and the fish are hard to come by, scaling down to sort of 011 is possible with this elastic, and you're not going to have problems with breaking your hook lengths or anything like that. So that's absolutely perfect. So orange hydro, like I say, maybe when it's slightly more difficult and you're fishing for sort of F1s, eyed, mixed in together, that'd be the elastic that I'd choose, like I say, through a short top kit. Now, similarly, for the same style of fishing, shallow fishing for F1s, but when the fishing's good and you're catching a lot more fish and maybe slightly bigger F1s, I tend to use white hydro. Now, I think white hydro is a brilliant elastic for that. It's also a very good elastic, I think, when you're fishing in open water for F1s as well, sort of short with maggots, maybe long pole on the deck. I think white hydro is a brilliant elastic for that sort of style of fishing for F1s. Again, through a short 2-piece top kit, brilliant elastic. Both of them are very similar, I'd say, in the uses, but just when the slightly better stamp or when you're fishing a little bit deeper, sort of on the bottom in open water. Now, again, hook wise and sort of hook length rating, 013, that'd be the sort of hook length I'd use with this. That just marries up with it perfect. Again, you don't have any problems with breaking hook lengths, anything like that. So 013 is perfect. Now, often when I'm fishing on sort of snake lakes and I'm fishing sort of in the mud line, down the edges, or maybe short pole and I'm bagging up on baits like meat, then I tend to use a slightly heavier elastic in a short kit than maybe what most people would, and that's a grey hydro. Now this grey hydro, like I say, is perfect for all your positive sort of big F1s in the edge, big sort of decent carp across and stuff on sort of snake lake venues, smaller sort of venues. So that's my grey hydro, that's what I tend to use that for. Again, hook length wise, I'd probably step up to 015 if I was fishing with grey hydro, and that'd just safeguard it where when you're playing the fish and you catch a lot of fish, you're not going to be breaking hook lengths under your feet and pulling out of fish and having problems. So they're my main 3 short kit elastics that I'll use in these 2-piece kits. Orange hydro for smaller fish, eyed, smaller F1s. White hydro, bigger F1s for shallow fishing, maybe out in open water, down the edge and in the mud line. Grey hydro. If you stick to them 3 through your short kits, you won't go far wrong. Absolutely brilliant elastics. Now, when I'm stepping up to a longer style top kit, I only generally use them when I'm fishing for bigger carp and on bigger open waters. So I don't tend to run any of them lighter elastics through my long kits during the summer months. When I step up to my longer kits, I'm going to be fishing my heavier elastics. Starting with The elastics that I use in my match kit, I only tend to run black hydro through my match kits in the summer. So I'll just carry 3 or 4 black hydro top kits through match kits with me. And they're going to be for all my open water carp fishing. So if I'm fishing sort of long pole shallow for carp, short pole on the bottom for carp, long pole on the bottom for carp, the black hydro is what I go for. Generally, in open water, I'll use an 0.15 or maybe an 0.17 hook length, but you wouldn't want to go any lighter than 0.15 with this elastic. So like I say, 0.15, 0.17 hook length, and normally with either a bigger size Super LWG spade, 14, maybe a 12, or on your Super MWGs with a band, sort of size 18, size 16 when you're fishing with hard pellets. So again, this is for a match kit, a full length match kit, black hydro, brilliant elastic for open water carp fishing, and maybe when you're fishing for fish up to sort of 6, 7, 8 pound, that sort of range. Now, when you're stepping onto venues where you fish for these really big carp, sort of places like Meadowlands, Larford, maybe even Western Pools, there is some big fish in there when I go to Western Pools, I tend to use quite a heavier elastic for that, and I always run my really heavy elastics through these Interelastic power kits. Now these are actually the Power Light kits, which I don't think you can actually buy anymore, but whenever I can ever find any sort of second hand or anything like that, I just buy them kits because I just think they work really nice. They're nice and strong, but again, they're not too top heavy, so your pole still's nice and balanced. Now the first elastic that I run through is Purple Hydro. Now for me, when I tend to use this elastic is, say if I'm fishing down the edge but I'm fishing a little bit longer, so say you're fishing to the next pallet, or you're fishing maybe sort of up a bank, if you're on an end peg and you're fishing along the bank and you just want a strong elastic but not too strong an elastic that when you're shipping back you can bump fish. So I tend to use this for sort of fishing long down the edge. I'm fishing sort of up the bank when I'm fishing down the edge, or if I'm fishing sort of on the short pole line on venues where the carp are really big, so hard pellets, meat, short, places like Larford, Spessy Lake, Meadowlands, I would probably go up to the Purple Hydro for me open water fishing, just that little bit more beefed up, and it matches really well with sort of 0.17 hook length. So that's the sort of hook length that I tend to use with that 0.17 Purple Hydro, long down the edge, short pole line, perfect elastic for that. And now the final elastic, and this is my favourite elastic when this comes out because you're going to be absolutely bagging up and catching some big fish, normally in the margins, is the Red Hydro. Now I use this a lot of the time for sort of short edge fishing, so when you're fishing close, when the fish turn up and they're tailing up and you've got to make the most of it that last hour, Red Hydro is the one to use. So when I'm at Western Pools and the fish turn up down the edge, or if I'm on the clay pit and then big carp, 10 pounders coming in on your short line, Red Hydro is the elastic to use. Again, I use this when I scale up to 0.19 hook length. Don't be fishing Red Hydro and trying to get away with 0.15, 0.17 hook length. You're just going to break hook lengths. When this comes out, it's when the fish are being aggressive, they're coming in to feed. That's the elastic to use. So like I say, Red Hydro, big carp, short down the edge, and just short, just in front of your nets when you're fishing for them big carp. So probably my favourite elastic to get out through the summer months. And when that's coming out, you know you're going to be catching some big weights. So running back through everything again, I've got my 3 short kit elastics, orange Hydro for smaller fish, white Hydro for all general F1 fishing, grey Hydro for edge fishing and fishing across in the mud line. And then when I step up to my longer kits, in my match kits, black Hydro for open water carp fishing, Purple Hydro for when you're fishing sort of short pole with hard pellets or sort of long down the edge for big carp. And then when you're bagging up really close for big carp late on in the match, Red Hydro. And that basically covers all my fishing through the summer months. Nice simple little selection, but you know, each one's very carefully thought out depending on what hook length I'm fishing and also what species of fish and size of fish I'm trying to target.